And His Holiness was initiated the same year, 1973, by Srila Prabhupada. And later on, His Holiness took the sannyas vow in the year 1994. And ever since, His Holiness also has been a governing body commission member since the year 1998. So His Holiness is here with us this morning to deliver a wonderful discourse on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 17. So let us welcome His Holiness by loudly chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A small correction. Today will be a special discourse on Mahashivaratri by His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj Ki. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
Well, thank you for the enthusiastic welcome, warm welcome, hot welcome. Anyway, I'm very happy to be here again, just circumstantially, just passing through. It's always nice to be here. And, you know, yesterday was Shivaratri, and it's not, at least the way it's celebrated popularly amongst the Hindu community, that's, you know, of course they don't, so many things they don't really understand so clearly, but actually Lord Shiva is a great devotee. He is one of the greatest devotees. So in some places, like where I'm based in South Africa, in Durban, South Africa, on Shivaratri, we have a whole program, like a little festival. The public are invited, but then we talk about Lord Shiva as a devotee, which they generally don't understand at all. Really, they really don't understand at all. And many people have come to us afterwards, because we've been doing this for quite some years, at least, I don't know, 10 or 15 years or something. And they have told us, gosh, we didn't know that. And it's really helped them to make some spiritual progress. So we'll do the same thing here today. You know, last time I was here, you might remember, I got carried away and went on for hours. I promise I won't do it today. Just don't worry, you can relax. And yeah, it's okay. Just a little while. Okay, here we go. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jairadha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jairadha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopijana Balava Giribharadhare Gopijana Balava Giribharadhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jairadha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jairadha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Vishnavad Paramahangsa Paravrajakcharyas Tadasya Samad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Shri Radhasham Sundar Ki Shri Gonitai Ki Shri Giri Govardhan Ki Sankirtan Yagya Ki Gaur Premanande All glories to the Decima devotees. All glories to the Decima devotees. All glories to the Decima devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. I remember you, don't I? Still here. Okay, good. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So devotees, I remember addressing the same subject here some years ago. I don't know if you remember or any of you remember. It's a very interesting subject, and it's a very important subject actually, particularly in the sense that there are so many people, like here in Malaysia and in so many places, there's so many people who they're very appreciative of the Krishna consciousness movement. There's really a lot. But they also have different misunderstandings about Lord Shiva. And of course a fair number of them, they think that Lord Shiva is the Supreme Lord. In fact, in some of the Puranic literatures, the historical Vedic literatures, you find at least once or twice a verse describing Lord Shiva, and at the end, the last line, it says, Shivastu Bhagavan Swayam. And there's another one, Durgastu Bhagavan Swayam. You get different Puranas and different of the modes of nature. And in order to help the people who are in those modes, they present certain particular deities as if they're the supreme, although they are not actually the supreme, but it's just to encourage those people to carry on in what is overall a process to gradually elevate them to a completely different and completely higher level of pure Krishna consciousness. Therefore I know that there's so many people who appreciate the Krishna consciousness movement. There's loads of them, but they don't really understand Lord Shiva. And like I said, they have a tendency to think that he is actually in a superior position to Lord Krishna, which is inaccurate. It's inaccurate. Things like when Lord Ram wanted to cross to Lanka, you know the story. He worshipped Lord Shiva. And therefore, some people think, just see, Lord Shiva's higher. He couldn't cross the ocean without the mercy of Lord Shiva. But little do they know that Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, he's in the practice of worshipping his devotees. Yes. He loves to worship his devotees. So this is not just some sort of isolated incident in which he just happened to worship Lord Shiva, and therefore it should be taken as some sort of proof like that. It's not. It's just that the Lord has all good qualities. And one of them is he's very humble. Even though he's God, and you can say, he doesn't have to be humble. But he is. Like in Bhagavad Gita at the end of the 6th chapter, Lord Krishna, having spoken that verse, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. Mataha. The very last word, mataha, means my opinion. What I think. Mataha. That's my opinion. So the Lord has the right to say, this is it. That's it. Accept it. Or go and jump in the lake. Just accept it. But he doesn't. He says, yeah, that's my opinion. That the greatest devotees are those who worship me. Okay, anyway, let's get into it here. Let's begin by worshipping, yes, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, chapter 13, verse 17. It's right at the end of Srimad Bhagavatam, 12, 13, 17. It's one of the last few verses. It's in the last chapter of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. And here it is. Here we go. Nimna ganam yata ganga devanam achuto yata vaishnavanam yata shambhu purananam idam tata. Which means, just as the Ganga, the Ganges, is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta is a name of Krishna. He is undefeatable. Lord Achyuta is the supreme among deities, and Lord Shambhu, Lord Shiva, is the greatest of Vaishnavas, of devotees of Lord Krishna. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. That's an important verse. Very nice verse. It's glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam specifically, but it includes that line which we've all heard before many times, I'm sure, Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu, that Shambhu, Lord Shiva, is the greatest devotee. So there you go. That's very important, and it's right at the end of Srimad Bhagavatam. And like any book, generally speaking, any book, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And generally, in the vast majority of cases, everything builds up to the end. It's not that the climax is in the first chapter and everything else just sort of, whatever it is. No, generally you read any book, or if you watch any movie. Generally, I wouldn't recommend watching movies, but anyway, you know what I mean. They all build up to the end, and finally the end comes. Whoa! And there you go. and everything is brought to a conclusion. So Srimad Bhagavatam's like that too. What would you expect? Everything builds up to the end, and this is the end. There's a couple more verses, I think, 2 or 3 or 4 more verses means in the entire book, and that's it. So it's a very important verse. Just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta, Lord Krishna, the supreme among deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva, the greatest of Vaishnavas, so Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. So you all have Hindu friends, Tamil friends, right? You've all got plenty of friends, and I'm sure some of them think like what I was saying. I'm sure some of them think Lord Shiva is the ultimate. Anyway, this should help you. I mean, you've got to do it very gently, of course, tactfully and sensitively, and, you don't want to just sort of verbally punch them in the nose or something. Just very nicely you can explain some of these things. Now, to take it a step further, one other verse I'll read, and it really is a very important verse. It's from Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma is speaking. He's the creator of the universe. So he's speaking here, and let me read the verse. Shiram yata dati vikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahitata pritag asti heto ya shambhutam apitata samupaiti karyad govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami, which means just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect, the curd, is neither the same as nor different from its cause, milk, so I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, Krishna, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. This is a very important verse in Brahma Samhita, that just as milk, kya, in this verse the term kya is used, kshiram yata dahi, yogurt, or here he's used the word curd, but I mean we often use the word curd to mean paneer, but not here. Okay. Anyway, many places, devotees, when they use the word curd, they mean paneer. But actually curd, as an old English word, means yogurt. And, you'd be familiar, maybe some of you would. Little Miss Muffet, sitting on her tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Little Miss Muffet, I think it's sitting on her tuffet, eating her curds and whey. And it's referring to yogurt. Yeah, eating her yogurt. So here we're talking about milk and yogurt. Lord Brahma is talking about in the verse. Milk, milk is transformed into yogurt. And I'm sure we do it here in the temple regularly, because we normally don't just buy yogurt from the supermarket. We normally make our own yogurt. It's nicer. It's much more sattvic and pure than, mass-produced, industrially produced yogurt. So you make yogurt out of milk, as the verse says, by the action of acids. You use some sort of, whatever you call it, you add it. You bring the milk to a boil, bring it just down from the boil so it's not really like actively boiling, but it's still very hot. And you add the, culture. All right, culture. You add the culture, and then you leave it overnight. You got to keep the milk at the same temperature. It's a bit of an operation. And you come back the next morning, and you got yogurt. Yeah. We do it. I'm sure we do it here. Every few days or so. That's how you make yogurt. So that's how Lord Brahma is explaining we should understand the position of Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva's nature, who he is and what he is, what type of being he is, that in the example of milk and yogurt, the milk is Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, specifically Vishnu, because we're talking about something which happens within the universe, not beyond the universe, within the material world. So the milk is Lord Vishnu, then a souring substance, or a culture, yogurt culture, is added to the milk, and then, like we said, a little later, you come back and the milk is no longer milk. The milk is now yogurt. The yogurt is Lord Shiva. Milk is Vishnu, but the milk, when it's treated in that way, becomes transformed, actually becomes soured, and in the soured state, it's yogurt or it's Lord Shiva. So in that sense, devotees, the good news, at least for those who are Lord Shiva enthusiasts, so many of them, the good news is that ultimately Lord Shiva is a type of a form of Lord Vishnu. Yeah, is a type of a form of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Lord. That's the good news. The bad news, it's not really bad news, but anyway, the thing is, he has been transformed into a different state, a non-Vishnu state. In fact, it's his own state, and therefore Lord Shiva, like we've got Vishnu Tattva, a category of living being. There's so many forms of Lord Vishnu, different incarnations. Then there's Jiva Tattva. Tattva meaning, it literally means truth, but in this context, it means truth in the sense of a reality, that a type of living being. And we're all jivas, little, tiny, little, eternal, spiritual living beings. Whereas the Vishnu Tattva is the supreme, great, gigantic, actually unlimited personalities, so many of them, but different forms of one person. So Lord Shiva has his own tattva, his own category, of which he is essentially the only member. and therefore it's called Shiva Tattva. And it means Vishnu, who's been transformed into a somewhat deteriorated state due to the addition of the souring agent. Lord Vishnu is very sweet. Very, very sweet. He's a form of Krishna, and Krishna is super sweet. Sweet, one devotee wrote a poem. I can't remember the whole thing, but sweet, sweet, those lotus feet. He's very sweet. I may have mentioned the other day when I was here a few weeks ago, but about the one little story of little Lord Krishna, baby Lord Krishna, lying on a banyan leaf, some sort of big leaf, floating. Did I tell you about that? I did, you remember. And he's sucking one of his big toes as he's floating on this leaf. And the devotee asked him, "Why are you sucking your big toe?" And little Krishna said, "You know, the thing is, so many of my devotees say my lotus feet are very sweet, and I wanted to find out for myself, so I'm sucking my toe." And he said, "And I can say that my lotus feet are very sweet." And he floated away, continuing to suck on his big toe, because his lotus feet are very sweet. So Krishna, Vishnu, is very sweet. But now in this case with Lord Shiva, a souring agent, like a culture, a yogurt culture, means like a very strong yogurt. You can keep, when you make yogurt, you use a culture, but then you can take some of that yogurt you just made and then some more milk and add some of the yogurt that you just made, and it'll turn that milk into yogurt. And then you can take some of that yogurt, put it aside, and then with another batch of milk, add some of that yogurt. But in the end, the yogurt will not really be yogurt, because each batch becomes weaker. But the culture, if you use like acidophilus is a classic culture. It's very strong, and it's very sour. So Lord Shiva then is Lord Vishnu, but he has been soured. So he's now in his own category. You can't just say, "Oh, well, he's Vishnu." He's in his own category. He has a different nature. And you know what that souring agent is. It is contact with Durga. Through contact with Durga, the material nature, Shiva becomes soured. And he loses that absolute spiritual purity that is there with Lord Vishnu. And therefore you get all these pastimes like, the pastime with Vrikasura. It's in, I think, the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam. Lord Shiva meets Vrikasura. And Lord Shiva makes a mistake. He becomes confused. So Lord Shiva, even though he's a type of a form of Vishnu, but he's not on the same level, because he's been soured by contact with the material nature, who was his wife. His wife is Durga, Parvati. And you know what it's like when you get a wife, she influences you, isn't it, gentlemen? You would know. You get a wife. Before you've got a wife, there you are, happy-go-lucky young man. Then you get a wife, and she influences you. You're not the same happy-go-lucky young guy who can just go running around and do whatever he likes whenever he likes. Don't mind me saying that, ladies. I'm sure it does them a lot of good, because otherwise they'd get up to a lot of nonsense as happy-go-lucky young guys. But yeah, and this is the idea that Lord Shiva, ultimately, Lord Shiva is a form of Vishnu, but he has been affected by the material nature. Yeah, and it's had a real effect. It has soured him from that original, very, very pure state. So, yeah. So in regards to this example of milk, Lord Vishnu being treated with this curdling agent, souring agent culture, and coming out as yogurt. So Vishnu is the milk, and you can always turn milk into yogurt. You get any milk, you can turn it into yogurt. Shiva's like yogurt. But you know what, devotees and friends? You cannot turn yogurt back into milk. Can't do it. Take out the souring influence, and now you got your nice milk again. Can't do it. It's permanent. So Lord Shiva is Vishnu, who's had that contact with the souring agent and become soured, but it's permanent. You can't undo it. Milk you can turn to yogurt anytime. Yogurt you can't turn back into milk. It's a permanent state. Therefore Lord Shiva, his condition is called Shiva Tattva. He is in his own category of entity. Vishnu Tattva, the Lord. Jiva Tattva, that's me and you. Different categories. And Shiva Tattva. And then there's Radharani, who's Shakti Tattva. Four different... Anyway, yeah. There's a number of different tattvas or realities of entities. Of course, you can make all sorts of nice things with yogurt. You can make nice things with yogurt. You can make more nice things with milk, though. And I'm sure it was the culture in India, and it is still to some degree, but there's some countries in Europe, like the old European countries, Lithuania, they have a whole milk culture. And you can go they have these milk shops, and you can buy like 25 different versions of soured milk and partially soured, and kefir, they're all transformations of milk, but they're special transformations. It's really amazing. And each type has a different effect on your digestive system when you eat it. It's very interesting. Okay, so that's Lord Shiva. Milk turned into yogurt. And yogurt's nice, but it is sour. it can be like an acquired taste. I remember like at least 60 years ago, more, probably 65 years ago or something, my yogurt started coming out. Before that, you didn't really get yogurt in the Western world, in New Zealand at least. My mother started eating yogurt, and she offered some to me, and I ate it, and I didn't like it because it's sour. I acquired the taste, don't worry. But it's a bit of an acquired taste. Whereas milk, you know, in terms of different of sour, astringent, sweet, these tastes, the fundamental tastes, milk is sweet, like rice. Rice is sweet. Milk is sweet. Yogurt is sour. It's in that category, like fundamental category of foodstuff, sour. So that's Lord Shiva. But having said that, as the Bhagavatam says, this 12, 13, 17, Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu, Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnav, even though he's been soured, not quite the same, but still he's a great Vaishnav. He's a very great devotee. So there are many stories. There are many stories of Lord Shiva as a Vaishnav. In fact, there's so many, I could keep you here. You remember last time, right? You remember that fateful day, sitting here for hours as I rambled on about something I can't even remember what. I could keep you here for much longer with different stories about Lord Shiva as a devotee, but I will spare you from that. But I will tell you a couple, all right? So sit down. Well, you're already sitting, but relax. Life is good in Krishna consciousness. And just listen. And don't worry. Nothing to worry about today. Nothing to worry about. It's Sunday. You don't have to go to work. So let me tell you one story to start off with. It's a nice story. It's actually the story, a story from Badrinath. If you're familiar with Badrinath, you would know what I'm going to tell you. Badrinath in the Himalayas, but Badrinath in Vrindavan also. There is a Badrinath in Vrindavan, in Vraj Mandala, on the western side. There's Badrinath mountain. It's big. I mean, it's not as big as Badrinath in the Himalayas, but by Uttar Pradesh standards, it's pretty big. So Lord Shiva and Parvati, they were living at Badrinath. They were living at Badrinath. And like I said, it means, well, you can take it as Badrinath in the Himalayas, where it's really a big mountain. I mean, it's just a massive, gigantic mountain. Badrinath, you can take it as Badrinath in the greater Vrindavan area, which is big. You know, you want to climb to the top of that, you got to be fairly fit. So they're staying there, and every day they move around. And there's the Badrinath mountain, there are other mountains around. It's like a mountainous area, and very scenic, and just really very special. So they're moving around every day, and they go and pick some berries and get some fruits and different things for eating, and then take it home and prepare a meal. And like this, life is going on. And one day they're moving around, and what do they stumble upon is a little boy, a little child. Little means like he can speak, he can walk, he can speak, but he's not like school age yet. He's definitely preschool. Small boy, but still able to speak. And Badrinath is way out in the middle of nowhere, basically. And you wouldn't get any preschool child walking there. It's just too far. It's just way too far. But here's this little child, little boy, crying. And devotees and friends, listen to this and bear this in mind. This little boy was very dark-skinned, very dark-skinned, with a little bluish hue. Hint, hint. See if you can guess who it might possibly be. So there's this little boy out in the middle of, just the very middle of nowhere, crying on his own. And Parvati, the wife of Lord Shiva, who she's a very gentle lady, very cultured and soft-hearted lady, she saw this little boy and said to Lord Shiva, "Oh, look at this poor little boy. He's crying. Somehow he got abandoned out here. We must help him. Let's take him home." Because they have like a sort of an ashram house type of thing. And Lord Shiva said, wait a minute. What is a little boy doing out here in the middle of nowhere on his own? Now something is wrong. There's something strange going on here. And Parvati said, "Oh, you men." Right? Hard-hearted men. That's what they think of you sometimes, you know. I'm not kidding you. "Oh, you men, you're so hard-hearted. Look, it's just a little boy. We can't just leave him. We've got to help him." But Lord Shiva's saying, well, be careful, because, how did he get here? What's he doing here? And something is going on. Something's going on here. Something is wrong. So they went anyway, despite Lord Shiva's protesting. They went, and Parvati picked up the little boy and asked him, "How'd you get here?" And the little boy said, "Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Shri Shri Radhasham Sundar Shri Shri Gaunitai Ki Jai." The little boy said, "My mother brought me. I was here with my mother, and suddenly my mother just went. And here I am on my own." And Lord Shiva said, "Listen to Parvati. What sort of mother's going to leave her little boy in the middle of the forest?" Because in those days, there were tigers and, all sorts of carnivorous animals around. So what sort of mother's going to leave a completely helpless little child in the middle of nowhere. Something's wrong. But Parvati said, "Oh, you men. You don't have hearts. Got hard hearts, if you have any hearts." So they took him. Lord Shiva, not happy, but he's going along with it because you got to go along with your wife, right? You can't just start telling her, "Listen, we are not taking this child. We are leaving this child here." So he went along with it, and they took the child back to their house, and they fed him something, and he lay down to have a little rest, and off they went again. Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati, they went off again into the forest and around the hills and mountains to collect some more things. And devotees and friends, you know what happened? They came back after another half an hour or 1 hour, or after a little while they came back and they turned the handle of the door. The door was locked. What happened? Oh, it's the little boy. He was frightened. He locked the door. So they knocked on the door. They knocked on a window. Little boy came to the window and they said, "Open the door. We've come back. Open the door. You can open the door now. It's okay." And little boy went. Shook his head. "No, I'm not opening the door." And Shiva and Parvati said, "We're not going to hurt you. We've brought more food. You can eat more. So it's okay. We're helping you. So open the door. Let us in, little boy." And they said, "Listen, you got to open the door. This is our house." And little boy went and pointed to himself. "It's my house now." And evening was coming, and they tried to convince him, "Come on, little boy, be nice. It's our house. We built it. It's our house. Let us in. It'll be night any time." And little boy sitting at the window, "My house, my house." So they had to go because they couldn't just stay on the mountain overnight. So you know what they did? They went to Kedarnath, at least in Vrajmandal. It's not far. I mean, it is some distance. It's a few kilometers. It's another mountain, just not far from Badrinath. And actually, it's very beautiful. It's really nice. It's very different from Badrinath, but still it's a mountain. So they were forced. They couldn't stay in Badrinath any longer. They were forced to go to Kedarnath, and they took up residence in Kedarnath. And if you go there, well, in the Himalayas, but also, it's a lot easier in Vrindavan. You'll see Badrinath is a place of Krishna now. It's not a place of Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva got evicted. Because, if you didn't guess, did you guess who the little boy was? Maybe you managed. The little boy was little Krishna. And he decided he liked Badrinath and he wanted to stay, and he stayed, and he's still there. And Lord Shiva and Parvati, they had to go to Kedarnath, which is also really nice. And so now Kedarnath is their place, Shiva and Parvati, as devotees. But Badrinath is no longer the place of Lord Shiva. It's the place of Krishna, Vishnu, Radha and Krishna. So anyway, you must know, you got to be a little careful with Krishna. You know that. Got to be, we have to be very sincere and surrender to Krishna. But you got to be a little careful in one sense, because Krishna, one of his names is Hari, 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 which means he who takes things away. And he decided to take Badrinath away from Lord Shiva. And who knows, he may decide to take something away from you. But if he does, it's always for your good. It's always for your good. Yeah. So that's the story of Badrinath, Lord Shiva, as a devotee. And he's there at Kedarnath now as a devotee. And he's happy at Kedarnath. Let me tell you another story. This is a story from Nandagram in Vraj Mandala. Well, I must tell you, if you go to Badrinath in Vraj Mandala, one thing you must do, particularly if you go in Kartik, and it's just after there's still a lot of water around. If you go to Badrinath in Vraj Mandala, you must follow what they call the bed of the Ganges. You know that? It sort of winds around a bit and goes up. And it's just rocky. And, it's only, 3 or 4 meters wide. It's not a big thing at all. But it's said to be the bed of the Ganges. When there's heavy monsoon rain, the water comes through like the Ganges. But if you go up and you just keep going up, you come to a dam. And if you climb over the top of the dam, it's not that big, it's as wide, or probably a bit wider than this room. But a big, officially made dam. And just above the dam is a kund called Deva Sarovar. And it's such a beautiful little kund. It's an amazing little kund for having a little swim in. It's really nice. Up at the top of what they call the Ganges. But let me tell you another story of Lord Shiva as a devotee. From Nandagram. So Lord Krishna was at Nandagram from the time he was around 6 years old till about 9, 10-ish, at which point he left Vrindavan, went to Mathura. So one time Krishna was there, Mother Yashoda was there. They're up on the top of the hill at Nandagram. The palace was there. Now there's fairly big temple up there on the top of the hill. And who should come? Who should come but Lord Shiva? He came. But Mother Yashoda couldn't recognize him. But this is Lord Shiva. He just looked like some very super esoteric, way out sadhu. Yeah, really. An extremely unusual sadhu. Long hair and a cobra around his neck and the ashes of cremated human bodies on his body, and wearing an animal skin. He looked, he looked wild. He looked really wild. And Lord Shiva knocked on the door. Mother Yashoda opened the door. But she couldn't recognize this is Lord Shiva. She thought this is just some extreme sadhu. But Lord Shiva said, "Can I have darshan of your Lala?" Of Krishna. "Can I have darshan of your Lala?" And Mother Yashoda took one look at Lord Shiva and decided, if my Lala sees you, he's just going to cry and get disturbed and upset because you'll frighten him. So she told him, no, you can't see Lala. Lala's busy. You go away. And Lord Shiva was a bit stunned and disappointed. He just stood there. And Mother Yashoda thought, I know what you want. You just want a roti, a free roti. So she gave him a roti. Here, take a roti and just go. Just go. So off went Lord Shiva feeling very disappointed. Devotees, at that moment, Lala, little Krishna started crying at that very moment that she chased Lord Shiva away. Lord Krishna just started crying and crying because he wanted to see his devotee, his great devotee, Lord Shiva. And Mother Yashoda quickly, you know what mothers are like, children, one of the prescribed duties of little children is they must cry. It's a prescribed duty. Must cry. If they don't cry, they're not bona fide. So little Krishna started crying, and Mother Yashoda thought, oh, it's just, he cries. Every day he cries a number of times. It's just another one of those times. And she picked him up and started bouncing him. The bouncing strategy. Bounce him around and laugh and point to a cow and say, look, go mata. And in this way, the child stops crying. But Krishna did not stop crying. And he was really crying. He was seriously crying. And Mother Yashoda didn't know what to do. So some of her friends came around and they saw that here's Krishna, he's just sort of kind of out of control, crying. And they asked, did anyone unusual come to your house? And she said, well, there was just this one strange sadhu with long hair and a cobra around his neck and so on and so forth. Only him. He wanted to see Lala, but I thought he'd frightened him, so I chased him away. I gave him a roti. And the friend said, aha, that sadhu, you chased him away. He has put naja on your Lala. You know what naja is? What's naja in Tamil? Naja, this is Hindi. If you were Hindi speakers, you'd all be very worked up by now. Naja means the evil eye. In English, the evil eye. There must be in Tamil. All right, anyway, the evil eye. That sadhu has put the evil eye on your lala. And you're going to have to call the sadhu back. Otherwise your lala will never stop crying, ever. So Mother Yashoda went running out and found Lord Shiva and called him back and said, come, have darshan, have darshan. Have darshan of my lala. So Krishna's crying and crying, and Lord Shiva came in, and Krishna stopped crying. As soon as Lord Shiva stepped in, Krishna stopped crying and started smiling. Big smile to see, because he wanted to see his devotee, Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, he spoke a few verses, he sang a little, he danced a little, and Krishna was in ecstasy. And then Lord Shiva told Mother Yashoda, I have to go. I got to go. So, okay, bye-bye, Lala. Off he went, Lord Shiva. But you know what happened? As soon as he stepped out of the door, Krishna started crying again, uncontrollably, just going berserk, crying. And of course now Mother Yashoda knew what to do. So she quickly ran out, and Lord Shiva's walking away. She stopped him, she said, no, you must come back. All right. He came back. Krishna stopped crying. And after a while, Lord Shiva said, listen, it's so nice to see Lala, but I have to go. I have to go. And Mother Yashoda said, you can't go. I'm not going to let you go. You got to stay here. You're going to have to live here in our house. Otherwise, our Lala is just going to cry. And Lord Shiva said, I can't do that. I got things to do. But Mother Yashoda pressurized him. And then eventually Lord Shiva said, all right, I will expand myself and I will stay here. On two conditions. First condition, in the morning, after Krishna's first bath of the day, I must be the first one to get the Charanamrita. And second thing, after his lunch offering, I must be the first one to get the Mahaprasad. And Mother Yashoda said, sure, no problem. So Lord Shiva expanded himself into a Shiva Linga, quite a big Shiva Linga, and he's still there to this day at what used to be the main entrance into the compound of the temple at Nandagram. And still to this day, 5,000 years later, every morning they bring the Charanamrita, and the linga is called Nandishvara. They offer to the Shiva Linga, and after the Raj Bhoga offering, the first Mahaprasadam is offered to Nandishvara. Did you have Raj Bhoga there at Nandagram, up on top? Oh, you must have Raj Bhoga there. It's very simple, but they make rotis about this size. Have you made rotis this size? They make super duper rotis, really. So Lord Shiva agreed, and he's still there. He's still there. I'll tell you one more story. Is that okay? Just one? Just one. This is a good one. You must remain seated, fasten your seat belts, because this is quite a story. This is the story of Gopeshwar Shiva, in Vrindavan town, just near, sort of around the back of Vrindavan town is the Gopeshwar Shiva temple. And during the day it's just like a typical Shiva linga, quite big. But at night, for the evening darshan from 5, they dress him up with a sari. Would you believe? Lord Shiva with a sari, because it's Lord Shiva as a gopi. So one time, Lord Shiva decided, when Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, Lord Shiva decided, I want to join the rasa dance. Because Lord Shiva, he's Nataraj. He's a great dancer, very great dancer, loves dancing, and he's very expert. So he decided, I want to join the rasa dance. He was watching it every night from Kailash, but now he decided, that's it, I'm going. So down he went, and he landed on the other side of the Yamuna at a place called Mansarovar. It was a very nice lake. It used to be just like a natural lake. It was very beautiful. Now they've put, they've bricked it up, and it's still nice. Mansarovar. So he landed there, Lord Shiva. And who should he meet but Purnamasi Devi? Purnamasi is Yoga Maya in Vrindavan. She arranges all the pastimes along with Vrinda Devi. So Purnamasi said, so you're Lord Shiva, right? Yes, I'm Shiva. What are you doing here? I'm going to join the rasa dance. And Purnamasi said, no. You can't join the rasa dance, because Lord Krishna is the only male in the rasa dance. So there can't be two males, so you can't do it. And she saw Lord Shiva was very disappointed, so she said, all right, listen, you know what I'll do? I will transform you into a gopi, into a female form. Then you can join the rasa dance. So what she did, she dipped him in Mansarovar, and he came out as a gopi. Yeah, and as a gopi, Lord Shiva is called Gopeshwar. Gopeshwar. Now, just gentlemen, bear in mind, if you go to Mansarovar, it's a nice place to take bath, but just watch out. Okay, who knows what will happen to you if you bathe in Mansarovar. So now there's Lord Shiva in a female form, and off he goes. It's the evening, late afternoon. Off he goes to join the rasa dance. Now, there was one main problem though. Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva in general, he's a big, powerful man. He's really big and really strong, really. And now, as Gopeshwar, Lord Shiva in a gopi form, Gopeshwar was very big and like a very muscular lady who's been doing the gym, gymming, big powerful girl, and still with a cobra around the neck and all these things. So Lord Shiva Gopeshwar now walks up to the rasa dance. The rasa dance is just about to begin. And Gopeshwar Shiva rolls up, here I am, let's dance. And the gopis took one look at Gopeshwar Shiva and said, listen, who are you? And what do you think you're doing here? And Shiva said, well, I've come for the dance. And the gopis said, no, wait a minute. We never saw you before. Who are you? What's your name? Now, there were a number of problems. Purnamasi had transformed him into a gopi, but had not given him a name. So they asked Gopeshwar, what's your name? Gopeshwar became stunned. Name? You mean my name? Is that what you mean? You mean what people call me? Is that what you mean? Yes, that's what we mean. What's your name? And Gopeshwar couldn't say, well, actually, I'm Lord Shiva. Couldn't say that. He said, or she said, I'm just so excited. I forgot my name. And the gopi said, oh, you forgot your name. Aha. We understand. It happens sometimes, doesn't it? Well, all right. Tell us, what are the names of your parents? And of course, Gopeshwar could not say, well, I am born without a mother from the forehead of Lord Brahma. Couldn't say that. So Gopeshwar said, parents. What are the names of my parents? Is that what you mean? Yes, that's what we mean. Parents. You mean my mother and father, right? Yes. Well, yeah, what are their names? Well, I just call them Mum and Dad. I don't use their names, so I don't really know. And the gopi said, oh, you don't know your parents' names. We understand. But anyway, tell us, where do you live? And Gopeshwar again was stunned. He couldn't say, well, Kailash. Couldn't say that. Where do you live? Oh, where do I live? Yeah. You mean where my house is, yes? Yes, that's what we mean. And Gopeshwar said, well, you go down the road and you turn left and you turn right and then you turn left and you turn right and you go past the tree, that tree, and then you turn left again and then you turn right again, and it's down there somewhere. And they said, oh, you don't really know where you live. What's the name of your village? And Gopeshwar said, well, I just call it home. Okay, we understand. But now listen, what is that cobra doing around your neck? Oh, him. Oh, don't worry about him. He's a pet. He's friendly. Friendly cobra. Oh, and the scorpions. The scorpions on your chest, they're friendly also. Oh yes, very friendly. Don't worry about them. And what's the white stuff all over your body? What's the white stuff? It looks like the ashes of cremated human bodies. And Gopeshwar said, no. latest cosmetic from Paris. Everyone's getting it. You must get some yourselves. Okay, right, cosmetic. And what is that fountain of water coming out of your head? And and Gopeshwar said, oh, you must get one. Keeps you cool in the summer. It's very useful. You must get one. And the gopis said, you know, you are just too weird. You are just too much. You know what we're going to do? We're going to beat you up. We're not going to let you anywhere near the rasa dance. We're going to beat you up and chase you away. So don't underestimate the gopis. You know, they're tough girls. All the churning the butter into yogurt. So they're just about to attack Gopeshwar when Purnamasi came. And Purnamasi said, no, don't beat her up. I know she's a bit eccentric. She's a little unusual, but I know her personally. She's a really nice girl. So don't beat her up. And the gopis said, okay, if you say, then we won't beat her up, but we are not letting her into the rasa dance. She is not coming in. She's just too strange. So Purnamasi said, all right, look at her. She's a big, strong girl. Let her stay on one side as the bouncer, the security person. And if anyone tries to come into the rasa dance but they're not qualified, she'll send them away. And the gopis said, okay, she can stay, not too close, but she can stay and she can be the bouncer and kick people out if they come and they're not qualified. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that at the rasa dance, the ticket collector is Vrinda Devi. Checks you out. Are you really qualified to enter the rasa dance or not? And if you're not qualified, she hands you over to Gopeshwar, and Gopeshwar chases you away. And if you go to the mandala where Rasa started, is just down behind the Gopeshwar temple. Yes, Vangsi Vat. If you go down there, they have a special altar dedicated to this pastime. And there's this big painting, Radha and Krishna, and the gopis, they're dancing. And on the side, on the right-hand side, see, there's Gopeshwar. Yeah. So they say that in Vrindavan, there are 5 people who are especially merciful. There's the Yamuna, Vrinda Devi, Govardhan, and then there's the dust of Vrindavan. Then the 5th one is Gopeshwar. Gopeshwar Mahadev is especially merciful to the new devotees like us. We are all new devotees. Yeah. How long have you been a devotee? 30 years. A new devotee. I've been a devotee 50 years. I'm still a new devotee. We are the new devotees. Those 5, they're especially merciful to the new devotees like us. so we can pray to Gopa. So like there are many stories. I will not go further. But these are some things you can think about and meditate on. Lord Shiva as a devotee. Lord Shiva in Vrindavan. Yes. And serving in different ways. And particularly now, there's a practice in quite places, they keep Shiva lingas. They keep Shiva lingas called Dikpal means, Dik means direction, and Pal means protector, like Go, Krishna's Gopal. Go means the cows, and Pal means protector. So Shiva is there as Dikpal in Vrajmandala, in Navadvip also. But in Vrajmandala, there are many Dikpal forms of Lord Shiva. At Govardhan, there's a Dikpal, there's a few Dikpals actually at Govardhan. Mathura, there's a few Dikpals. Vrindavan town, there's Gopeshwar. Here and there, Dikpals. So devotees, I get a message. I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be nice and not go on for too long and, all that. And I'm sure you're feeling separation, Adam. I don't want the separation to become too overwhelming. But there's a saying in Russia, hunger is the best chef. The best cook is hunger. If it's enough, even the worst thing that you'd never eat, you'll take it as much as you can get if you're hungry enough. Prasadam is not ready. And, there I want to be good. Isn't it? Last time you had to wait for ages. So, I'm going to have to tell you another story. Is that okay? I'm sorry. Let me tell you. This is a really interesting story. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. This is a story, it's actually Padma Purana. Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna discussed about Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani discussing about Lord Shiva. Yeah. And Srimati Radharani, she had heard that verse we read at the beginning, which has the line Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, that Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. But then she came to Lord Krishna, Radharani, came to Lord Krishna and said, what is this Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu? Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. It's not right. Why do they put that in Srimad Bhagavatam? Shouldn't they? Must take the verse out. And Krishna said, well, it's Srimad Bhagavatam, so it must be true. No, 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 no. Listen. Listen. He always associates with ghosts, hobgoblins, and pishachas. What do you say in Tamil for those things? You know, those supernatural, demoniac creatures. Do you have Tamil terms? What? Bay. With a P. Pay. Because I'm going to, when I speak to some more Tamils, pay. Are they nasty? They're nasty. Pay, like pishacha. Pishach. Pisas. Okay. In South Africa, we have Tikalosh. Tikalosh is like a cyclops eye and destroys people. And if you go to a village in South Africa and people watch out for Tikalosh, I tell you, they get complete. Pisas. Yeah? Pisas. Okay. Right. So Radharani said, don't you know down in Tamil Nadu, Lord Shiva's a Tamil, sort of. He associates with the Pisas. Huh? Pisasu. Anyway, you know what I mean. And goblins and hobgoblins and ghosts and all these horrible beings. And you know what they say? That you can tell a person by the company they keep. This is rather saying. So look at Lord Shiva. See who he associates with. How can he be the great Vaishnav? He's not the greatest Vaishnav. He associates with these creepy beings, horrible beings. So it's not correct. Vaishnavanam yata shambhu. It's not correct. And Krishna told Radharani, you know, you don't understand. He gives them his association because he is trying to deliver them. And Krishna said, one name of Lord Shiva is Patita Pavan. Of course, it's a name of Lord Chaitanya also, but it's a name of Lord Shiva, Patita Pavan. He delivers the most fallen. So that's all he's doing. And Radharani said, well, I don't know. You say he's trying to deliver them, but he smokes ganja with them sometimes. So how can you say he's a great Vaishnava? You know, gave us the 4 regular disciples. He's not following. And Krishna said, no, wait. Don't understand. He drank an ocean of poison and he was completely unaffected. Smoking a little ganja has no effect whatsoever. It's just that those low beings, they are attracted to that. And when they see that he's doing that, they think, he's cool. He's really cool. So therefore they have education. Otherwise, if he was very strict and following everything, they would reject him. They wouldn't want to have anything to do with him. So it's just his mercy. And that ganja has no effect whatsoever on him. So Radharani said, oh, all right, I see. Okay. But listen, what about that cobra and his neck? Cobras are very dangerous, and they're extremely envious. They're extremely low class, and he keeps one around his neck. How can you say he's a great devotee? Devotees have nothing to do with snakes. And Krishna said, wait, you don't understand. Just wait a minute. That snake, the snake is Anantashesh, the divine serpent, form of the Lord. And that's, and Radha, oh, okay, I see. But wait a minute. He keeps the ashes of cremated bodies on his body. That is tamasic. How can you say he's a great devotee? Devotees don't do things like that. And Krishna said, wait, you don't understand. Those are the ashes of the body of Sati, his wife. Out of affection for her, he keeps them on his body. So it's not like he's attracted to crematoriums and ashes of burnt bodies. It's out of affection for his dear wife who passed away. And Radharani said, oh, okay, I see. But look, sometimes you see pictures of him and he has a garland of skulls around his neck. How can he's a great devotee? Devotees don't do things like that. Krishna said, wait, you don't understand. They are the skull of great, great ones. And out of respect, he wears them. Radharani said, oh, I see. But wait a minute. Sometimes you see a form of him with 3 eyes. He looks very strange. Why does he have 3 eyes? Devotees don't do things like that. But you know, he performed tapasya for 1,000 years, and then he got to see me. And he was so overwhelmed, he felt 2 eyes are not enough. I want a 3rd eye to see Krishna. So I gave him a 3rd eye. It's just to see me. That's all. So actually he's a great Vaishnava. And so Radharani said, all right, I see. But, well, he eats datura. He eats datura. It's poisonous. Very, very low class, tamasic. How can you say he's a great Vaishnava? And Krishna said, he offers the best to me, only the best. And from himself, he just accepts anything which is edible. he doesn't care what he eats. Just offers the best to me. And Radharani said, okay, see. Then she said, well, wait a minute. As people, all material things, they want 84-inch to watch Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. He gives them 84-inch television. They want big house, he gives them big house. And Krishna said, no, wait, you don't understand. You don't understand. You see pictures of him sitting under a tree. He doesn't even have a house. And he doesn't have fancy clothes. He's just sitting there chanting on his beads. And he's just chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that's all he wants to do. But he has a duty as a demigod, as a service to me. I've given him this service, that if people worship you for material things, you must give them. But it's not like he enjoys it. He doesn't like giving people material things. So people comes along, knocks on the door. He actually doesn't even have a door. But someone comes along with a shopping 84-inch television, new Mercedes-Benz, black one, and new Pierre Cardin dhoti and Christian Dior sari for my life, and big mansion in KL, and all these things. Someone comes along with a big shopping list like this, and Lord Shiva, when he sees this, it's his duty to fulfill their desires, but he doesn't want to. He wants to just chant. So he sees the person and he thinks, oh no, it's one of these ones again. He says, all right, give me a list. You want 84-inch television for, I don't know the latest Bollywood actually, but Shanti Om. That's not the latest, is it? Om Shanti Om. Did you see that? You didn't. Congratulations. Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. You saw that? Oh. You want 84-inch television? I tell you what, take 2, take 3. Take one for every wall in every room of your house. And you want Mercedes? Take 2. And you want a nice KL? Take a mansion. Take 5 palaces. And you want Pierre Cardin dhoti? Take a whole lot of the kurtas and whole lot of Christian saris for your wife. Just go. Just get out. Just excuse me. So feeling very happy. Lord Shiva is the one. Yeah. But Lord Shiva feels, got rid of him. Just got rid of him. Get back to my chanting. This is actually Lord Shiva. And therefore Krishna, Therefore, he's called Ashutosh. He satisfies desires. But look at how he lives. He doesn't even have a house. What to speak of a palace? He doesn't have a Rolls Royce. He doesn't even have a Mercedes Benz. He doesn't even have a Toyota. He just has Nandi. And bulls are not known for moving very fast. And he doesn't have a Pierre Cardin's doty. He just has an animal skin. Because he knows these things are useless. He gives them to the people. It's his duty. But for himself, he doesn't take any of those things. See, he is the... And Radharani said, actually you're right, now I understand. Vanam Yata Shambhu. Actually, Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee. So there you go. These are stories about Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva as a devotee, some sort of independent deity, independent supplier of material things. That's not Lord. That's not Shiva. Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee. Hare Krishna.